Hey, everybody. Well, one, probably Tina. Hey, Tina. Right now, one viewer.
We haven't had a raid yet. I would imagine Culture is gonna go long because he's got Call Me Chato on tonight.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a fun.
And
I'm not gonna lie, that they're fun. Yeah, he's a fun interview kind of guy.
dude, I was jealous. I was like, can we get Chato? I want to get Chato. I'm gonna have to talk to Culture. Be like, Culture, make an introduction here.
Yeah, maybe we should. Yeah, Chato would be cool to have on.
Hook a brother up. I want to talk to Chato.
I feel like Chato would blend well with our stream of consciousness, just chat about whatever kind of show.
I feel he could thrive in this format.
Yeah, he would. He would be funny. And I would definitely have a lot of questions about his experiences because, as a big Kids in the Hall fan from the 90s.
Oh, dude, I loved Kids in the Hall back in the day.
Kids in the Hall was great.
So, there was a time when I held Kids in the Hall well above Saturday Night Live.
I would still say, because I mean, Kids in the Hall stopped, so
yeah.
you can't. I mean, Saturday Night Live has kept going well past its prime, but for the time period,
and maybe it should have died too.
I did. Kids in the Hall did come back briefly. I think it was on Amazon, so there's some Kids in the Hall episodes on Amazon if you wanted to check those out, new ones. It was they did a funny bit where it was they said they would never do anything until Brain Candy finally made a profit. And I guess in the intro like sketch was somebody buying Brain Candy at like a garage sale for $1, and they had a chart where that finally put it over by like a penny over cost, and they're like, "Great, we can come back now." Oh, so do we have a Culture Casino? Got a little note. Culture Casino and their viewers just joined. Welcome, Culture Raid.
Oh, hey. I figured they'd go longer. Like I said, I'm kind of surprised by that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's welcome to the show. We were just chatting actually about Chato, who was a guest over on the post-flight show with Culture Casino, and then that led us into our fondness for Kids in the Hall. So hopefully everybody here isn't going to be minding that kind of conversation. So welcome, Culture Raid. Hello, Tina. Hello, Carlos. We got Tina. We got Carlos. Got good old Rob Altus coming in on the Culture Raid. And we got Emperors. Culture Raid. Well, they're old. Can't stay up too late. So yeah, you're right. That's why they weren't going so late. Greetings. Got Phoenix Knight. Got Tina coming in. Paul Chato is awesome. Yeah, we were actually talking about how we would love to be able to have a conversation with Paul one day. Maybe we'll try to get Culture to make an introduction, because Chato's brain would be really fun to pick, which is how we've come full circle into why we were talking about Kids in the Hall, and why this Kids in the Hall was probably superior to Saturday Night Live when they were doing their run in the 90s. Hello.
And ironically, none of this has anything to do with our show prep.
Yep. Yeah.
Our show nowhere near any of what we just talked about.
Exactly. Our show prep. We're gonna have a little bit of fun, loose goose kind of time tonight. We're gonna maybe touch on how Wish is underperforming, but then later, hopefully, if Brahma comes in, we're gonna maybe do some real-time shopping for my PC to replace my Surface Pro since that is
I'm already doing real-time shopping to see if I can manage to somehow put together a decent gaming PC for under $800.
Yeah, so here's the challenge. I'm looking at Black Friday deals, and I can get an off-the-shelf pre-built PC right around $800, say. There's a couple different options that come in a little lower or maybe a little higher, but say 800's the mid, the good solid point for a decent one. to fit the requirements. Can we build? And remember, that comes also with a Windows license, so it has the operating system, which is an important thing because that's an extra cost if you build your own. So, can we build a comparable build PC and come in at the same price? Because in the old days, the component costs, if you bought them off the shelf where you had to install them, if I remember right, were actually low enough that, yeah, even after paying the window license, you were still usually coming in cheaper.
Yeah, it's not looking good. The other problem I'm running into is I'm trying to find the good Black Friday deals on Newegg, but like everything's on back order right now.
This is a nice kids in the hall. Disappointed that Paul Chato didn't get touched Bellini. That is deep cut for those kids in the hall fans in the audience. Oh, um, so yeah, that's a question to chat. People in chat, did you buy your computer off the shelf or did you build your own PC? I know that we've got some Linux users in there, so I'm guessing if you're running Linux, you probably built your own, built your own stuff. But uh, for me, most my PC experience my entire life has always been buying off the shelf. I know how to install components. I've done it for other people at different points. I just never wanted to bother doing it myself.
I have been
Especially,
putting together my own computers for 25 years.
we got Zombie Box saying he's, builder of his own.
My man.
My man. He when I say my man, not the way Denzel says it. Let the record show he means my man.
My man.
Quagnar always built my own PC. I have a lot of respect for people who did. And it's not that I couldn't have done it. I just honestly didn't want to take the time because in the old days,
But it's
stuff was a
fun.
little more hit or miss.
Like I love building my own computer. I derive great joy from the whole process.
Yeah, let's see. In the old days, we didn't have to pay for Windows license. Yeah, with the winky face, we know what you meant. But then they started putting time bombs into their software. Yep, you could. I remember I knew people who would go to like bet whatever what was it, Circuit City, the equivalents of the Best Buy stores at the time. And if you remember, Windows would put those little stickers on with the software with the CD key, with the license key for the software, and they would just copy it from the store ones so that when they activated a copy of Windows, it was from the one that was in the store. So, oh, that was you can't get away with doing that stuff anymore, unfortunately. Let's see, computers so old, bought off the shelf but modified later. The fact that it's old, it means something. Yeah. Let's see, Brahma coming in. I built until the most recent due to the cost of video cards. Some of the pre-builds cost only a few hundred more than the cards themselves. This is another thing I was looking at. Video cards are expensive. Or graphics card, I should say.
They are. They're not cheap.
They used to be not, like it was a component. Only people who really built PCs were buying them on their own, so they weren't super expensive. And now the price chips, like everything else after the virus of unspecified origins, everything else they blew up. They went up in price and have not come down. So it's a fun debate because I feel like I can probably, because of the graphic card cost, I'll probably be able to get a better deal, bargain, so to speak, having it all done with the Windows license than putting it together. Plus, remember, I can put those savings into a monitor too. If I'm going to really game, I should probably have a monitor that can keep up with the actual graphics being rendered. Let's see. Check some of the Lenovo Legion Black Friday deals. Funny you say that because that was one of the ones.
That's exactly what he's looking at.
Yep. Let's see. I just want a Radeon 5500 XT. It is more enough than my needs and cheap right now. Your CPU graphics with Ryzen 3400G. I don't know what is good or bad about what you're saying. I would imagine that the Radeon 5500 XT is definitely the newer model and probably be good.
I don't know. I'm still running a 5700, I believe.
You're using ATI, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
I gotta look it up.
What's the built-in memory with it?
My graphics card?
Yeah, does it have its own separate memory pool?
Yeah, it
They usually
does.
do.
It does, but Windows ain't gonna tell me what that is. I gotta look at what I ordered. Let
Yeah,
me go into
Tina.
my history.
Yeah, Tina nailed it because people were trying to build them while they were dealing with the sickness. That was the like, hey, I got that stimmy money. Let me build my PC. Yes, dedicated GPU better than CPU graphics. I know that for sure because if you've ever watched the Gaming with Mad streams, you may have seen what it's like for me when I was playing Conan and it wasn't even rendering things. So I'm walking through, I guess, riding through the most vicious zone to try to go to. And I'm like, go right through because it didn't even render anything in there. So it was it was quite a fun experience. I had to look on my other monitor where I have another PC running to sometimes watch streams, and I was like, "Oh my god, is that what the game actually looks like?" Because Matt was streaming from his, obviously, and it was actually rendering the graphics. I was like, "This game looks great." That's not at all what I see. Uh, yeah, it's not a shocker that Brahma used his stimmy money for his bourbon collection. That's probably a better use of it.
All right, yeah, I am running an Asus Tough Gaming X3 AMD Radeon RX 5700 overclocked with 8 GB of GDDR6.
Nice.
Yeah, it's about 4 years old now, but it's still a pretty it holds up. It's solid.
I mean, I don't think you've run into any games where you haven't been able to render the 3D graphics as a result with
No,
that one.
no. At most, I have to turn my settings down from ultra to high.
We skipped. Penny went ahead and left. Conversation over my head. Good night, y'all. Yeah, it's yeah. I figure some people would enjoy it, some people might not. It is something. Yeah, got low spec Linux saying sorry, it's getting too geeky for you. A lot of people like, especially what I'm running into, trying being in this now, the YouTube space with streaming and doing stuff. My off the shelf, just regular can do functions for like spreadsheets or other things. Surface
Yeah,
Pro.
we're not in a good place, dude. All I've done so far is grab the tower, a motherboard, and a processor, and I'm already at 500.
That's not even counting the other stuff we
That's
have.
not even counting all the other important bits like the graphics card, which is probably gonna be the most expensive fucking part.
Yeah, so Brahma says he's running a Legion 5 with an RTX 3060. So I'm going to show, let's go ahead and bring up, we're on Best Buy, right? Let me see, where can I increase the zoom here? Is it easy to see? All right, it's looks like it's easy enough to see on the screen. So let's go to the gaming PC section. Where did it go? Right there. We want gaming desktops because I'm not going to be needing a laptop, and sort low to high. So this is the lowest cost one. So the absolute lowest cost one here is a CyberPower PC with Ryzen 3 4100. It only has 8 gigs of RAM and is running an
Ryzen
NVIDIA.
3?
Yeah,
No.
no,
No.
I'm establishing the low point.
Okay, well the low point is too low.
Yeah, but which has me moving up. What I'm looking at here is this sweet spot right here. It's $800. It's normally a $1,200 PC, $1,249. So it's $450 off.
Yeah.
This is the Legion Tower 5i. So I think it might be the tower version of what Brahma was doing. let's see, Emperors. I'm using an RX 580. You know, because Brahma said he was running a Legion 5, so this is a 5i, whatever that means. It has an Intel Core i5 with, I guess, 13400F with 16 gigs of memory built in, but it's got a well, that's expandable, so that's not what you're locked into. Oh wait, no, Brahma says no. It is exactly my PC.
Nice.
Which begs the question, Brahma, is that lower or more or equal to what you paid? Is this a good sale price? Is this like a lit? Because sometimes they'll mark
I
things.
would bet that's a good sale price, but I
Because
bet they
usually,
marked it up before they marked the
yeah,
discount.
that's what I'm trying to see. Like, let's. You don't have to tell us how much you paid, Brahma. But all right, so he said he paid about 1,000. That'll come in a second, and I'll highlight it. So he paid about 1,000. So I would still be getting a couple hundred off, which is good. Let's see, Emperors. I wanted the RX 580, but for a little more money, the 5500 XT uses less watts and has video encoding. I'm on solar electricity. No, I mean, if I was paying attention to that, I would definitely would probably have to. I've never actually looked at like the wattage usage. So this is where I want like showing the full specs here. So this is what I wanted to check out because this
Well,
is where it's,
that's actually part of the reason why I generally kind of lean toward the Radeon cards, is because they generally use a little bit less power, which means they don't run quite as hot, which means they live longer. I have had a lot of friends who they were running the top of the line NVIDIA graphics card, and then they were running the next top of the line NVIDIA graphics card, and the next one after that. And in the life cycle of their 3 graphics cards, which each cost 500 plus, I bought one for 3.
that's a there you go.
But again, and this is the same reason I've always gone with the AMD chipset for processors, is because I just feel like you get more bang for your buck. Like, you don't get top end performance, but you get more performance per dollar.
Which is a fair thing to consider. That I mean, we consider a lot of stuff. Like I think of cars. When you buy a car, the reason you might get a Kia or a Hyundai is because you feel like you're getting more for your dollar. I mean,
This is why I bought a Nissan Versa. And I really liked the hatchback. I kind of wanted the hatchback because it was peppier and it had a bigger like bigger piston.
Horsepower.
What are those things called? Where the gas goes in? I don't know much about cars. Cars are not my world.
Yeah, like
but it was like a 1.6 liter instead of a 1.2 liter.
Yeah, it's how much.
Which you felt the difference when I was test driving them, but I didn't need the hatchback. And the whole reason that I was buying the vehicle in the first place was I was like, I want a vehicle that has the best possible gas mileage. And they're like, well, this one has almost 40 miles to the gallon. And I was like, all right, is it cheap? They're like, yeah, this is about the cheapest thing on the lot. I was like, I will take it. Well, do you want a used one or no? I want brand new.
Emperor's, I've yet to have an AMD card die on me. Knock on wood. I do blow the whole thing out every 2 years. So that's
I've never had one of my AMD cards die on me. As a matter of fact, my oldest, whenever something on his computer needs fixed or repaired, it gets Frankenstein together out of old parts from my old computers, and none of those die. But he needs to blow his computer out more because that thing looks like what's that spider in the third Lord of the Rings? What was her name?
Shalob. Wasn't it something like that?
Yeah, I think she lives in my son's computer.
Shallow. Chat would know. Chat always knows everything. Yeah, I know that. Was it Samwise? Yep, Samwise was the one who held the. Wait, no, was it? Was it Frodo who held the little light up, or was it Samwise?
No, Frodo was all fuckered up and couldn't even. He was hallucinating
Shilo,
shit.
yep. Yep.
Samwise had to come in and save his ass.
So yeah, look, but the RAM's it's DDR5 RAM. It's got 4 slots, which if it comes with two, if it's 16 gigs built in, that means a pair of 8 gig chips. I can easily, like Brahma said earlier, I can plow some of the savings into just buying another chipset to plug in immediately and get that RAM immediately upgraded. I could probably either get another pair of 8 gigs or maybe a pair of 16, depending on if there's sales going on, and
Yeah.
be good to go there.
Yeah, I'm just gonna admit defeat on this one. Like even with the Black Friday deals, I'm not gonna be able to put something together that's any better than what you've got for less than $1,000. It's just not gonna happen.
Yeah. Expand
Buy
your
the
squad.
pre-made. I won't. I refuse. But
So obviously, if I get this one, me and Brahma can be PC gaming twinsies.
gross.
I'm kidding. I can't even. I just having this, I would be not able to keep up with the way Brahma does games, where he's 24 hours in, he's leveled up to the point where he's casting, spells beyond
Yeah,
everybody else.
Brahma's on a whole different game. He's doing Liza P now. I'm still playing Elden Ring. I've beat it 3 times now, and I'm like, there are still achievements, and I want to 100% this game.
Well, this makes me wonder. All right, let me see. DDR5 RAM. Let's see if there's any Black Friday sales on the RAM.
Oh, I'm sure you could get some RAM sticks. They're usually dirt cheap, and if they've got Black Friday sales, you could probably get it even cheaper.
Come on, take that little survey thing off. All right. Let's see. These are chipsets. 216 gig. So a 32 gig combined, for $100. Let me always sort low to high. Always sort low to high. Here's a pair for 72. Looks like, yeah, it looks like, that's is that a all right, so this is 216s. This one is a 30. I mean, that's a 32 gig on its own. It's a single chip, so never mind. 216. So it looks like for around $70. Here's a Corsair. Like, is there a brand to avoid? Give me.
I wouldn't say there's a brand to avoid, but I go in for the Corsair Vengeance. I think the Corsair Vengeance is solid RAM.
Solid. All right, cool.
And here's the thing. I would almost drop the extra 50 because I'm looking at one right now, right? $149.99, and you can get 64 gigs, 32 gig sticks for 150.
Yeah, well, I've already got the 8. It's 64 gigs is the max for the motherboard. It said.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I feel like.
Oh, that's the max for the motherboard? Your motherboard sucks.
Well, it just said the max. It was expandable to 64, so I would imagine that means the max is, right? Let's see. Low spec
No,
Linux,
it's
16 gigs.
probably. I would think. I don't know.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
Windows 11, right?
Yes.
Windows 11 can recognize up to 128 gigabytes of RAM.
All right. Well, now let me flip back to the computer itself.
And that's Windows 11 Home, which I'm assuming that's what it has. Because if it's got Pro, you can actually see 2 terabytes of RAM.
All right. Well,
fucking ridiculous.
Let's look at the show full specs again. This is, where is it? Show me the operating system. Windows 11 Home, 64-bit. All right. All right, here we go. Well, that just yes, I know. System expandable to 64 gigs with 4 slots.
I
So
don't
that
like that
would
it doesn't tell me what kind of motherboard is in this thing.
let's scroll back up. Processor.
Because, I mean, obviously I can see a motherboard in there. I just don't know what kind of motherboard it is.
Display ports, cooling, power, expansion.
Show full specs. There we go. Full specs.
CPU.
I am shocked. I do not see a motherboard listed in their full specs.
Thanks,
Maybe
Tina,
they're
for always
using
reminding everybody smash that like button.
maybe they're using their own motherboard.
Low spec Linux says it should say which chipset the motherboard uses, which I think we found the chip. Well, it's
It
never
should
mind.
say the chipset somewhere. I'm looking for that
It's got
too.
the processor right here.
Source.
Intel generation i5 3400. Um, Lenovo something non-branded Chinese, I expect, probably. Hey, Mr. Grant Gregory, you want to come in here as we're looking at building the specs up for? I bet Grant has a lot of information on what would be a good, solid off the box, out of the box, like off the shelf PC. Unless it's like different in Australia.
I don't see a chipset listed here either.
Well, isn't that what the i5 is? The chip CPU.
Maybe I don't know. It's
No optical drive. None of them have an optical drive anymore.
yeah.
So.
Nothing has an optical drive these days.
Tina says there's a gorgeous set of A Song of Ice and Fire leather-bound books for only 50 on Amazon. I wish Martin would finish the damn books. Yeah, you can get the like not complete set, which is great for you.
Yeah, low spec Linux laptop is right.
Yeah, like this is why I don't build
I
my
didn't
own
think
on
that
the
was the
regular.
same, but I don't see a chipset listed either. Because, like, I don't know the specs of the motherboard. We don't know how expandable this is, and like if you get a good motherboard, you can upgrade your computer several times throughout the course of its life without worrying about it. Just without hitting that upper limit, so to speak. But if you get kind of like an older motherboard, you'll save yourself a little money, but you don't have nearly as much capacity to continually improve the system.
I mean, honestly, wouldn't 16 gigs of RAM get me like 3 to 5 years of use out of this thing easy?
Yeah, but more RAM is always better. Now, the problem I'm seeing here, right, is I'm looking at the screenshot right now. Okay. As a matter of fact, you should go pull up this same screenshot. Get out of there.
Okay.
Go up there and look at the side profile picture.
This
That
one?
that one right there. Zoom in on that. Now, unfortunately, there's not a whole lot to go on here, but it looks as though all 4 of the RAM slots are occupied.
Oh. What would that
Now,
mean?
that might not mean a damn thing. They might have just put stuff in there so it didn't look like there were empty slots for their picture, But
yeah, I would imagine that that's just if this is the promotional picture, it's just showing all 4 slots occupied.
But how many gigs did they say of RAM were in this?
It comes with 16 gigs of RAM. So I would think it's You know what? They might be
They
doing
might have
4 sets of
4
4.
gig
Yep.
sticks.
In which case, yeah, I mean,
And there's nothing here that's telling me if that is the case, which I very much don't like. Show full specs. Let me look at that again.
let's see.
This is oh, well, thank you, Best Buy, for explaining to me what system memory is. I wasn't wondering what system memory was. I was wondering what kind of cards are in the RAM slots.
Yep, less dense DIMMs are cheaper, so all 4 might be occupied.
I feel like all 4 might be
Oh,
occupied.
wait, Brahma
So
has this exact one, and he says, "No, it doesn't come with all 4 occupied."
he doesn't know that. They may have changed the way that they market now.
And pretty sure this is the motherboard, Lenovo BD, Planner S. Yeah, that's a lot of there you go.
Thank you,
Can you
Brahma.
do your magic and look that up?
I'm looking it up right now, actually.
Let's see. It's a cheap micro ATS, most likely. How many watts is power supply? How much, like, how much you can upgrade before you need a bigger power supply? That's a good question. Yeah. And from Grant, Tina is always in the chat on every show.
Oof.
Okay, Grant, I'm not 12. I grew up in the 80s and 90s. I know what RAM is. So, but I appreciate you coming in with the comment on that. Computer system memory is made up of physical memory called system memory or random access memory, RAM, and virtual memory. System memory is not permanent storage. No, that would be the wrong read only. Do you remember when you had to learn about RAM and ROM when you were getting all that? I don't think they even talk about that anymore. I think I've said this before, but Slender, I want to share this as you're looking that up. I was working with someone in my office and was walking through my job and that I do in the day job, and I was telling them, okay, on the screen you need to hit the little diskette button to save, and they're like, what? I was like, the save button, and they're like, okay. Well, they said, why'd you call it a diskette?
Because that's what it is.
I was like, because the icon is designed to look like a 3.5 inch, hard disk. And they're like,
But it's not a hard disk, it's a floppy.
mm.
Despite the fact that the floppies were floppy, and then the 3.5-inch floppies were hard. So I didn't understand why they still called them floppies. I was like, these aren't floppy at all.
No, they called them hard disks.
No,
At
they
least-
called them floppies.
when I was buying them, they were always 3.5 inch hard disk, is what they called them, versus the floppies.
Yeah, I just looked it up, man. Floppy disk. That's what they call them.
I'm telling you.
3.5-inch DD2 720 kilobyte unformatted floppy disks.
Floppy disk with a hard case.
Yep.
No, the 5. All right. So in the stores, when you would go in, I remember they would have floppy discs sold, and they would say 3.5 inch hard disk. Now maybe that just became
Yeah, but a
the
hard
semantics.
disk is ROM.
Hard.
It's
No,
built in storage.
That's a hard drive.
No.
See, rolling on the floor live. The Mac users drove me nuts calling them hard disks.
Oh, is that why you call it a hard disk? Because you're a fucking Mac pleb?
I do use Macs because my wife wanted Macs. Yes. I started with 5.25 floppy.
Yep.
The 3.5 inch still had the floppy plastic storage medium inside the hard disk.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. There's a floppy in there.
I remember when 1.44 megabit floppy disk came in. I remember thinking nothing will be big enough to put on one of these. Years later, I loaded Windows 95 off 120 floppy disks. Yes,
dude. I remember when we got a 500 megabyte hard drive, and we were like, oh my god, this is so much storage. why do they keep making bigger hard drives? You're never going to use all this storage. And then we got the first gigabyte hard drive, and we were like, that's it. I mean, we've reached the top of the mountain. Like, why
I
would anyone ever need more than a gigabyte? And nowadays, I've got a terabyte hard drive, and I fill it up in about 10 minutes, and I'm like, Jesus, I need to get like one of them 10 terabyte hard drives.
especially if you do all your gaming digitally when you're downloading, some of these games are almost 500 gigs on their own sometimes, it seems like.
Dude, I think part of it is due to the fact that it's kind of poorly programmed. But
Grant
like a
knows what
great
I'm talking
example,
about. 1 terabyte hard drive, you mean 3.5 games.
well, and that's the thing. Like Ark Survival Evolved, 206.55 gigabytes required to play that game.
Low spec. We had 30 megabyte hard drives and thought that was cool. Yes. I've talked about this on the show. I was the second weekend Napster was live. It had spread to my computer, my campus, my college campus, and people were sharing Napster. And I
That didn't take
downloaded
long.
I I had I loaded it up. I was in a quad room. This was my freshman year of college. So that means I shared the room with three other guys. A quad was four guys in one room. And so I loaded
We're going
Napster.
streaking.
I loaded
Quad down to the gymnasium.
I loaded Napster, and I swear to God, I saw that thing was being measured in terabytes, and I was like, "What the hell is a terabyte?" I had to look it up, and I was like, "Holy shit! How much stuff is on there?"
Dude, I remember when I was in like middle school, we did like the field trip where we went to a place, right? And what we went to was like a chip producing facility, factory type place, right? And they took us into one of these rooms, and there were these giant like they looked like refrigerators, but if you took like 8 refrigerators and taped them all together into a big old like octagon shape, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, that's a terabyte hard drive. And we were like, a what? What's a terabyte? They're like, that's 1,000 gigabytes.
You're like,
You were like 1,000 gigabytes. And they
awesome.
had like 8 of them in this room.
And you're like, wouldn't that be all the information in the world?
Yeah, like that's like, oh, that's all the accumulated knowledge of mankind since the beginning of time.
So Brahma looked up and confirmed it's two 8 gig RAM chips installed on this one on the question
Okay,
and
so
answers.
you've got 2 more slots.
Yes.
So if you put 64 in, you'd basically have 70 gigs. But if you put 32 in, you'd have 40, which 40 will do. 40 will do you. I mean,
Did you look it up if the motherboard can handle and recognize that?
I can't find shit on, like, I looked
Yeah.
up that specific motherboard, and all I get is that it is a Lenovo motherboard. I don't get anything on chipset specs, capabilities, nothing.
Grant Gregory shares an interesting bit of Australian trivia that Napster was the reason they started charging for downloads, uploads in Australia. Before that, it was just straight fee for the line rental. Yeah, that's also sharing of that is when Comcast and a lot of internet providers here started talking about capping usage. Which
Yeah, if you put 32 in, you shouldn't have any problems. I'm only running 32 gigs of RAM in here. I almost said gram. Combination of Grant and RAM. But yeah, I'm only running 32 gigs. Now I have the highest clocked RAM that my motherboard can handle, but I've never. It's the processor is usually where I bottleneck. So
let's see, Empress Napster actually got me into buying CDs contrary to the propaganda. Then they started doing cease and desist to shut down the FTP servers. I got one from Ray Orbison's widow because I had downloaded Pretty Woman. And so that was what kicked me off of Napster. And then, of course, I immediately just flipped my information and got right back on. So the DRM stuff can never keep up with the users in mass. which is what they don't realize is like you can get a few people individually and maybe drag them to court and win, but you're never gonna. What's the line from from Serenity? You can't stop the signal now. you're, once that genie's out of the bottle, like the people are gonna get there. Let's see. You're best off using 2 slots, RAM 1 slot per channel for speed.
Yeah, they're usually set up in dual channels, so you got to make sure that, like,
yeah, you've got to do like
you got to make sure that like that channel 1 and channel 2 for that dual channel or whatever. You got to make sure you've got the same RAM in both slots.
Yep.
It's I don't understand why. That's one of those things where like I know that's a thing, I just don't know why.
Yeah, that RAM always has to be put in like pairs.
Yep.
Yeah. Grant remembers, yeah, if Napster goes down that afternoon, LimeWire had 10 million users. Exactly. It's like a friggin' Hydra.
Dude, LimeWire corrupted my childhood.
Well, there was a lot of things on. I'll give credit to Napster. The stuff that was available to everyone on LimeWire went a little more risque than what was available to everyone on Napster, at least in my experience.
LimeWire was the Wild West. Like, I know a lot of people like the internet was the Wild West, blah blah blah. No, LimeWire was the Wild West. Okay.
Oh yeah,
LimeWire was like Tijuana and the Alamo combined.
Let's see what Tina is here. I'm so old that the computers in my college lab were mostly dual boot 8086s. Only 4 PCs had an internal hard drives running Windows 3.0, not even 3.1. Oh my God, good for you.
Dude, I started off with Windows 3.2.
I remember, yeah, 3.1 was the first Windows that I had. And do you remember installing that? You had like 40 friggin', I'm about to call them hard disks again, 3.5-inch floppies.
I never installed an operating system, but I did learn initially how to install most of my games through DOS.
Oh, we got Brahma over here.
Like, CD space, blah, 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 space, blah, blah, blah. Of course. You put the 3.5-inch floppy diskette into the frickin' drive, and then, B colon or A colon or whatever colon. You go into some colon, and then suddenly you've got some shit.
Yeah, C was always your hard drive, and then if I remember, A was usually your floppy disk drive. I'm going to call it a floppy so I don't run afoul of you degenerates over here. Speaking of degenerates, look at Brahma over here. Of course, he loved LimeWire. God knows what he was watching.
I don't know why my dad had this, but his computer had a 5.25-inch floppy, a 3.5-inch floppy, and a CD-ROM drive. So like, A was the 5.25, B was the 3.5, and the CD-ROM drive was D.
Oh, we got Brahma joining the show in person.
Welcome, Brahma.
Welcome, Brahma.
What's up, boys? Are you guys getting any echo?
Nope. No. Sounds crystal clear.
I don't hear any motorcycles or anything tearing ass in the back either.
Yeah, Grant remembers a:/run.exe. I would always I'd always run the dir.
dir/w. Give me a display of all the different things.
Let me see what all the choices are before I choose.
And if there's too many, then you go, okay, well, dir/w didn't work. Let's do dir/p. So I can see it one page at a time.
Windows 3.11 different autoexec.bat config says files to make different games work. Yep. I remember friggin' playing Mega Man, that really terrible PC Mega Man.
They made a PC Mega Man?
Oh, you've never seen the terrible PC Mega Man game? I'm going to have to find some footage of that.
Like the Amiga version?
Yeah, remember?
Mega Man kind of scarred me because I started off on Mega Man 2, and that was one of those games that, like, an 8-year-old probably shouldn't be playing because it just makes him so angry and it really hurts his sense of self-worth and ability.
Oh my God, look at Tina over here. When I worked at Kmart in high school, the point of sale system booted up with 10 8-inch floppies. Can you imagine like having to do that to get your register working?
And then you've got some old lady who it's like you get the first floppy done and then it's like insert disk 2, and she doesn't take out disk 1, she just jams disk 2 in there.
Go to the questions and answers portion of the Best
All
Buy
right.
article for this, and I think it'll give you more information.
Let's see. All right. Where's
It seems
Why-
like a good rig. Like definitely not like top of the line or anything. It's not
No, it's
like
a good
Matt's
gaming rig for
ridiculous
the
machine,
price.
but
I mean,
it'll
it's,
handle whatever you throw at it. You might
yeah,
not be
it's
able to run
working.
on max settings for some of the really graphics intensive shit, but it'll handle it.
Oh no, I'm running max settings on everything. It's fine.
um
The 3060 is a pretty good card.
Okay. So Brahma, I've gotten all 3 of the ending achievements for Elden Ring now.
Nice.
I did the Lord of the Stars or whatever the hell it is. I did the regular one by doing the perfect order. And then I just finished earlier today Lord of Chaos, and I burned the whole world.
Yep, I like that one.
It's actually, like, visually speaking, it's the coolest one.
Yeah.
All right, let's see.
And I just had to give that girl a whole bunch of Shibiri grapes, and then torch her. And she
And
was
you know what
thankful
those
that she was
were, don't
torched.
you?
Oh yeah, they were eyeballs.
Yeah.
You tell her they're eyeballs at one point, and she's like, "Oh, that's so gross.
Give me more.
No, don't mind me." Oh, and she's like, you can hear her wanting to throw up, but she's still eating it.
All right, so this one I'd like to have confirmed. It says someone asked if the fans are loud, and they're like, the answer, it is very quiet. If for some reason it is loud, you most likely have a bad fan. Is that your experience, Brahma? That
It's extremely quiet, almost silent, and there are multiple fans. So
nice.
And here's the thing: a fan can be loud for a multitude of reasons. The fans may have got loud because they got backed up with dust that the person never cleared out. And if you're in like a house with pets, or you have high traffic, and there's a lot of dust and that kind of thing accumulating in the area, a fan could get very loud in about a week.
yeah, or if you're in a garage.
Yeah, or if you're in a garage.
If those
And here's
damn
the
crickets get into your computer.
Here's the thing. Fans, they operate on like ball bearings, right? Very similar to the way skateboard wheels operate. Those things are very sensitive to dust and everything else, and you might just be unlucky and have a bearing get a little out of whack.
But fans also cost like $10 to go buy a new one.
That's where I was going. I was like, you can replace a fan for like $8.99.
Now, one of the tricks with fans, because most people will tell you not to do this, but it actually works a little bit better if you put one on input and one on output. If you've got multiple fans, that way it's actually drawing air through the system instead of having both blowing out or both blowing in.
Well, the way it should be set up to get ideal airflow is you want
Mr. Grant Gregor, it's correcting you. He said the fans run on electromagnets, not ball.
Yeah, but they have bearings in them so that they can spin smoothly. They still have bearings. Pretty sure.
I don't know. I haven't taken apart a computer fan lately.
I haven't either. I could be totally wrong, and Mr. Grant Gregory could be totally right. But screw him, he's not here. So I'm just gonna not let him talk anymore. How do I do that? I forgot.
I don't. Well, here's the question that asked me that I'm gonna, because you upgraded your RAM. This person is saying that in the question, is there room to install RAM? We know there's more room, but this person said that they couldn't get Corsair Vengeance RAM sticks to work.
I don't know. Maybe they didn't put them in the right slots.
Is that the kind of RAM you used?
Okay, well, now 2 people are telling me I'm wrong, so they're probably right. I'll give them that. It's okay. It's bushings. It's not bearings anymore.
I've got 2 Corsairs that have LED lighting on them that are 16s, and they work just fine for me.
Yeah, because those are the ones that were on
alternate. I had to alternate the one that came with it, then the Corsair, the one that came with it, then the Corsair.
All right, so that just means that the like pairs are in the rows and not side by side.
Correct.
Yes.
They should be color coded.
Yeah, it's supposed to
perfectly fine.
Yeah, they're usually color coded or something though, or they have like numbers next to them. But there's usually some visual indication on the motherboard as to which RAM slots are paired.
Did this person really ask if they could run Minecraft on this PC? Jesus
Right.
Christ.
Dude, I could run Minecraft on a fucking calculator.
I think Minecraft actually would work on my Surface Pro. So
It would. I mean, you'd have to turn down the draw distance. Like a lot.
So if you were to basically do the exact same setup as me, it would be getting two 16 gig RAM cards, and then getting the 34-inch curved monitor that's on sale for about $350. So you're still just at about $1,200 for a full setup with a nice monitor and more than enough RAM
Yeah,
to do
because
what you're doing.
this is probably the same Corsair type.
Yeah.
They're on sale for like about $100.
I
Roughly.
may have an extra monitor I can give you. Let me look. I might have some peripherals like that laying
Oh,
around.
Nothing wrong with running multiple monitors. I've
Yeah,
got 3 hooked up to it, and it's working just fine. The center one is the huge curved gaming monitor, and it's fantastic.
I have 6 monitors on my desk.
Didn't you possibly have a couple extra from a previous place of work?
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, they might be. I don't remember. All I know is they sent me a box and they said put your laptop in this to send it back to us, and I did. And I put all the peripherals and everything with it too. But like that box was not big enough for a monitor, and they never asked.
Yeah, I don't think they probably forgot they gave you a monitor.
Highly possible.
Let's see.
But no, I've got 2 monitors for my personal computer, and then I've got the drawing tablet, which is kind of is technically a third monitor. And then for work, I've got the 2 monitors they sent me, and then I folded up the laptop itself, so I've got a third monitor for work. So I got 2 of those those arms that you can mount the monitors on.
Mm-hmm.
I've got one of those on each side of the desk, mounted to the back, so that I can fit all the monitors.
All right, so let's see. In 32, yeah.
Just make sure you're getting the right DDR.
Yeah, I'll check the specs to get the exact one, but I'm basically in the range of around $100, give or take, for my pair of Corsair.
If
RAM.
you do it tonight on Black Friday.
Oh no, the sales run through Saturday.
Oh, are they? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well then you're good to go.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm gonna still probably do it tonight.
Yeah, then you can pick it up tomorrow.
Reams of high bandwidth. It's DDR5 RAM. So
yeah, but DDR5 comes in lots of flavors.
It has different clock speeds. And that's part of the reason I wish I knew what effing motherboard was using, because the motherboard will tell you which clock speeds you can max out at.
Either way, adding 32 to it is going to make this far more. You're going to have more than you need for being able to do gaming, streaming, even editing and rendering. So you'll be fine.
Well, I got Grant telling me that DDR5 low latency isn't worth the money yet, so I can just get the regular.
Yeah, I wouldn't go overboard on these.
Yeah.
And they're cheap enough, you can always replace them later.
Yeah, when you leave my place of employment, they let you keep everything except the laptop, all peripherals, including the 2 monitors. It's not worth, because the return shipping on a monitor is probably I've possibly in my job, I have to input and process payments for shipping return equipment, and the shipping on when we have some government types who have to return everything because it's technically federal property, and Jesus Christ, the shipping on those is like $90. Guess how much a monitor costs when you order them? it's not worth it.
No, those monitors too that they bought in bulk, so they probably got like 100 units at $70 a unit, and then they had to ship it for $90.
Yeah, you know what? I need to let me do something. Let's see. Yeah, I think so. That's going to be my plan. I'm going to get, because I already ordered, because Amazon had a deal where I got another Slender. You've seen my setup in my home office. I got another corner desk for only like $70. I was like, Jesus Christ, Black Friday is awesome because it was marked down from like 200. It's a nice, like L-shaped corner desk to go along with the one I want. Now I'm gonna move all of the like Mac and other things that are so my wife and will have access to PC usage and get my setup so that I can actually do things properly from now on. And I'll have two desks. So I'm going to separate personal from my stuff.
Oh, Brahma, I actually do have another game I wanted to know if you'd ever heard of.
What's that?
And hey, I mean, Lil Chad, if you get a computer, it might be able to handle this game. It's called Vampire Survivors. Have you ever seen it?
Oh yeah, I've maxed out everything in it.
Yeah, it was only $5 to get the game and all the DLC. So
if you like that one, get Halls of Torment also.
Oh,
same idea. More unlockables, that kind of stuff.
Oh, nice.
They're both great bullet hell games. And a new one just came out yesterday.
What's the new one?
I don't know. I think Mark the Cyborg has started playing it because he's who turned me on to Vampire Survivor.
I mean, there's a lot of bullet hell games out there. Slay the Spire.
This is like the 8-bit style, which is what I kind of like.
I mean,
Vampire Survivor is basically Castlevania, the old 8-bit Castlevania.
It's very 8, maybe 16-bit, but yeah. Lil Chad, you want to see it? I can show the trailer.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, I'll stop presenting unless I'm clicking about looking at RAM specs.
No, not slides. I don't want to present slides. Share screen.
But yeah, Chad, if you go with that exact build that we were just looking at with the RAM, you'll be in fine shape. And I mean,
I noticed it seems to work well with your streaming
monitor if you were going to try, because they're on pretty good deals as well, about 150 off on the curved monitors.
Wait, did I share audio? I can't remember. Okay, let me do this again.
Okay.
I don't think I can share audio because the way that I have to share it is through Steam, and Steam isn't giving me the option to share audio.
Oh, it's through Steam. Like, there's not.
Oh, well, you can see it at least.
Which game is this?
This is Vampire Survivor.
Yeah.
Why does this look like a Castlevania game from the 90s?
Because he basically used all of the Castlevania assets to make the game.
Nice. I feel like this. Yeah, this is like the mid early 90s Castlevania.
It's very Gauntlet.
It's very mindless.
It's fun though.
Each level is like 25 minutes, and you just play till at 25 minutes it basically just wipes you out.
Oh, I wonder. That makes me think: is Dynasty Warriors available on Steam? I wonder.
Unfortunately, I don't think there's any online co-op, just local.
No, I've been playing it with my daughter, and we've been having a blast.
Yeah, I saw that, Tina. Yeah, now that all the proof is shown that he didn't really do anything, he gets stabbed.
Well, hopefully he doesn't, get found too late when he tries to hang himself after he's in isolation.
He was stabbed in prison today.
Yeah.
So he's still in prison, despite the fact that we know that he shouldn't be.
No, he was convicted, and then he actually did a plea bargain for his federal charges, I think.
Yes, but he was convicted, and one of the jurors admitted that he lied to get on the jury.
They're never.
That's a mistrial.
They're never overturning it.
They're never overturning
it. In fact, the Supreme Court refused to take it last week.
They're not.
He was appealing to the Supreme Court, and they refused to hear the case.
So an innocent man will remain in prison until he finally gets murdered. That is our justice system now. Great.
4 innocent men will.
Yeah.
Because the other cops are in there too. Well, probably not the same prison he's in, but there should have been a change of venue. There should have been more of the evidence allowed in because the judge refused to allow quite a bit of the evidence that actually showed that there was not a problem.
Dude, a deadly force expert said that everything Derek Chauvin did was well within the scope of the situation, and in all honesty, he could have escalated more and did not.
Well, honestly, as soon as the
Fucking case closed. It's over. We're done.
as soon as the I guess
The autopsy report.
the coroner said that you couldn't even, there was no damage to the trachea. There was no,
which coroner?
there's
The one that said he died of an overdose, or the one that said he died
No,
of a
the actual-
separated vertebra?
The actual medical examiner.
The
Yeah.
medical examiner, and even when he amended his report, he still wouldn't say, like, scientifically that it was
Well, we
that.
know that shit ain't happening
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
No, all right. So Grant, you can't pardon for state crimes. So that's something that a lot of people don't understand. We are in a federal
No,
system.
technically, he needs to be pardoned by the government.
He would need to
and
be
that
pardoned.
definitely won't happen.
That's in Minnesota, so
not
it's
in
never
Minnesota.
happening there. Now, yes, a presidential pardon could happen for the federal charges that he plea bargained his way into. Because he was going to get railroaded on those anyway. I mean, it was just a matter of, you're at that point, you're going to get convicted. The plea bargain is just to logistically shave years off how much you're going to be in jail.
And here's the thing.
And to not be paying for your lawyer
Yeah.
for another trial.
Yeah.
Let's look at this in scope too. I wish we hadn't got on this because I don't like to get a little too political, but this is one of the ones that's very near and dear to my heart because, like, I always looked at, the boys in blue as kind of like cousins to the military. Like, we do a lot of the same training. We know a lot of the same rules and application of deadly force and everything else. And the fact of the matter is, right? Okay, maybe he's kind of a dick. Okay, maybe he's done sketchy things in the past. But as far as this particular charge, he is innocent. It is obvious. We have imprisoned an innocent man. Regardless of how you feel about him, he is an innocent man. It is obvious to anyone who has paid attention to that case and watched the evidence be presented from start to finish that an innocent man was declared guilty by a jury of not his peers, because one of them already has openly admitted that they lied to get on the jury.
Well, and the others admitted that they couldn't find him guilty of murder because he didn't actually cause the murder, but they decided to create their own
It wasn't a murder. It was an overdose.
I understand, but
Whoa.
what they did was they tried to create their own loophole in their own minds that says, well, since he didn't render aid, he killed him.
That's not the way the
Even
law
though they ordered
works.
the EMS there, they called within 36 seconds. The EMS got lost. You guys need to watch the Fall of Minneapolis. It came out on Rumble.
I have.
Okay.
It's bad.
The reality is, if you were looking from an objective legal standpoint, at worst, you could maybe factually do negligent manslaughter type homicide. Like, it would be the lowest rung of manslaughter. And the only reason, and Slender, you may not like this, but the only reason that would actually be justified in this is because police officers and professional first responders have a higher threshold legally in terms of what their responsibilities are than the average citizen.
No, I don't disagree with that part, because
yeah.
there is a rule. This is explained to everyone who has ever worked military police, security, police. When you take someone into custody, you are now responsible for their well-being. Like, if anything happens to them, you will be held responsible for it. But, as Brahma has already said, within 36 seconds, they called for emergency medical services.
Yeah, so that's why
He didn't do anything wrong. You can't say that's man too when the guy laid down. And look at all the pictures. They're like, oh, his knee was on the guy's neck. No, it wasn't. His knee was above the guy's neck. He wasn't putting
Shoulder
any weight
blade.
on it.
Yeah.
And the reason you keep your knee there is so that if they go to get up, you can put them back down very quickly. He wasn't putting any weight on it. He just had his knee there in case the guy decided to get a little, violent, as he was wont to do in previous encounters with police officers.
Here's where I know, again, kind of branching off what you were saying a minute ago, I do want to say my position on outright support of the police has evolved since the virus of unspecified origin was unleashed.
I don't disagree with that. I do not disagree with that.
I had a lot of respect for law enforcement. I thought they were being railroaded many times in the post-Floyd era.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I see what I can only describe,
their oath to the Constitution,
yes,
by enforcing unlawful.
The one of the examples that is in my mind, I'm sure most of us in this sphere have seen these type videos where it was like a mom and her like 5-6-year-old kid alone on a playground, like out in the public, just giant open playground space, and like you've got 3-4 officers responding like it's a friggin' SWAT situation to get the mother out of the playground because you're not allowed to be on the public property at that moment.
Well, and those officers are terrible officers, but I mean that's
the problem is
like the whole all cops are bastards thing.
No, but the problem is I'm starting to think that there's a solid percentage that if given the order, will never question it.
Yeah, it's probably somewhere between 60 and 40%. I don't disagree with that.
And that's where my problem is now, because I was under and this is also, and I think it's also self-selecting into this problem where, because
it's very much self-selecting into the problem.
So because I'm going to over the years, it's become more evident that people can be can have trumped up charges, pardon the pun on that one, to go after them and take them down in situations where either what they did in the situation was not worthy of the charges they got, because sometimes they did do bad things, but they were overcharged, or they were just outright charged incorrectly because it was a political situation.
Yeah.
And so lots of people who might otherwise be good police officers are choosing to self-select not into that field of work, just like the same with the military. There's an awful lot of what would have been the backbone of our military and our volunteer armed forces who over the last 15-20 years have not either re-enlisted after they were already in or chosen to not join at all. So what you have left are the people who will without question follow any order they're given.
Why do you think I got out? I was 14 years into my career, and I had started to see some writing on the wall, and I did not like the way that, like, because it started at the top, right? And it was working its way down, and it had made it as far as the Chiefs mess. The officers were absolutely terrible. You have no idea how many good fucking young sailors were kicked out of the Navy by a captain over some bullshit that 10, 15 years ago, we'd have taught the kid a lesson and we'd have got his ass turned around and he'd been a good fucking sailor. But like, a great example, we had a Navy ball, right? Navy ball is like, it's the same for every branch. Like, you celebrate the birthday of the Navy and everybody from the ship gets together and we have a big party and there's lots of drinking and dancing and fun times. One young guy, I think he was like maybe an E2, E3, just like fresh out of A school, boot camp, all that crap. First ship, good kid. He came to the Navy ball. He had a lot of fun. He got a little too drunk. Most of us did. But he fell asleep on a couch in the lobby. They kicked him out of the Navy.
They kicked him out for that.
That was a waste of training.
What?
That was a waste of training.
It was a waste of a lot of things. It was like, dude, this kid was excited. He loved the Navy. He was having fun. We were all drinking. We were enjoying our time and everything. And he started to feel a little sick, probably because he had too much to drink. And he went and he passed out on a couch in the lobby. He didn't throw up. He didn't get in a car and go driving anywhere. He passed out on a couch in the lobby. I feel like for the most part, he did the right thing. And if anything, I would probably yell at his
bad decisions.
No, and if anything, if I were the higher ranking individual who was having to deal with that, I'd have yelled at his LPO, his first, his work center supervisor, the people he was there with from his division. Like, why didn't you get this guy home? Like, why one of you take care of this guy? But also, why is the old man, why is our captain kicking him out of the Navy over this?
Yeah.
And I just kept seeing more and more shit like that, and I was just like, I'm out. I don't know. We're done. I'm not doing this anymore.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, look at Tina's comment. Tend to back the blue to a fault, but you have 4 overweight female Chicago officers could not cuff a single male offender to the point he just escaped. Footage I saw would be comical, if not so sad.
Well, and I've got a cousin who is was a sheriff. And, I talked to him back when all the stuff was happening around the Floyd stuff. And it was like, with all the hate directed at you guys, why are you still doing it? He's like, well, I mean, those of us who are the good guys still feel like there needs to be rule of law and the good guys can't just abandon everything. So
when the rules of the land become discretionary, of what value can they be? That is a very good question.
Yeah.
Because when the rules of the land become discretionary, they are not representative of law and order. They are representative of tyranny. And that's another reason the George Floyd Chauvin thing, that whole thing, upsets me so much. Because, like, with some of the things that have happened in our justice system in recent years, we are teetering on the brink of tyranny.
I mean,
and I don't think most people realize it.
And the authoritarianism isn't coming from the side that's being blamed for authoritarianism.
No. But that's the socialist handbook. Blame them for what you're doing.
What was it? Viva Free's favorite thing of saying is confession through projection.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Saul Alinsky's rules for radicals.
Yeah, it's
if you blame them, then they can't blame you because the blame has already been assigned.
Yeah, because whoever smelt it dealt it.
Yep.
But I think the best example, and not to get, we've already gone down a little political, but look at New York, right? You're taking a law right now. Right now, a former president is being maliciously prosecuted under a law whose entire reason for being is to go after banks that do fraudulent and predatory loans to consumers. This law
been convicted of nothing thus far.
No. Hold on, and let me explain, because I have to set the table for this. Like, this law was only designed to go after predatory bank lending to consumers, and we have now twisted it to somehow make it fraud for a consumer to have gotten a loan that they paid back in full.
Yeah.
To the bank.
Oh, we're talking about the Mar-a-Lago thing?
Yes.
The really funny part about that, about that is when they brought those charges and you look at what those properties on Mar-a-Lago are valued at, they're valued at many, many millions less than all the adjacent properties all of a sudden. Like, they're like, oh, he overrepresented the value of those properties. And it's like, they're really only worth about this much. And then you look at anything else in that area, and it's hundreds of millions more than what they're saying Mar-a-Lago is valued at. And it's like,
but it's also not just that. The bank has an underwriter for all those loans.
Yeah.
They're the ones that look at it and say, yeah, we accept this appraisal of this property as collateral for this loan. No one was harmed. And it could be argued, I mean, it is argued, that he was pretty close to right on his valuations. Not anywhere near what the judge is,
but now in certain
lowering
states,
it to based off of the assessor.
But now in certain states, they're trying to take his name off the ballot based on the fact that he's a criminal. And it's like,
It failed in Colorado. That was
It
the
did?
testing ground. It's not going to
Yeah,
happen.
well,
they're
thank
never
goodness for
gonna-
that.
yeah.
But here's the thing. What has he been convicted of?
Nothing.
Oh, so you wanted to take his so you wanted to set the standard that you don't even have to convict someone of a crime. You just have to accuse them of it, and then you can pull their name off the ballot. That's the precedent you wanted to set. And furthermore, maybe this precedent would have worked. But you also set his first hearing for Super Tuesday because you wanted him to not have any ability to campaign.
Well, that's the ultimate goal of this, is to keep him locked down in court so that he can't campaign.
Could you assholes be
'Cause they're
any
not
more
gonna get a conviction on
transparent with your
anything.
lying?
Exactly. Like Brahmas and like we just talked about with Chauvin with federal versus state, the reason they're doing this is specifically because state charges can't be addressed, like, because there is and we've talked about it, I think, was it last week, where there is an actual legal question if you can bring him up on any related charges because of him being already impeached for the same thing. It's a very big legal question
double
that's never
jeopardy question.
does double jeopardy attach to a president who was impeached for an act, for a situation, and then can you still charge him for the same situation? And no one's really answered that because it's never happened.
The impeachment isn't an actual criminal trial. I would think that it's not, that you could then try him again in an actual criminal court if you could figure out a way to bring those charges.
Yeah, my biggest
Although it's a
argument
trial,
there,
it's not an actual criminal trial. It's a political trial.
and that'd be my biggest argument
Clay
right there.
is making me laugh out loud with this one. He doesn't need the campaign. He has this locked up.
Yeah,
No,
every
that's
time they
totally
bring
true.
another charge, he goes up in the polls.
No, but
But-
is the having it locked up. It just made me because it's a
Like-
great choice of words.
I wish this wasn't the case, but I'm going to agree with Brahma, and I'm going to say probably the best argument is that the impeachment is not a judicial proceeding. No judicial proceeding has happened.
Yeah, it just goes by
A
judicial
legislative
rule.
proceeding had it happened, and it does follow judicial rulings, but it is not a judicial proceeding.
In my mind, it's not. Yeah, I don't know what the actual legality says, but it would seem to me that that's a political trial, not a criminal trial of any kind. It's not even a civil trial.
Lost Souls trilogy. I don't know how we got here, but we got here. We were looking at
we were
video
just
games,
checking
and
out
then
a
suddenly
computer.
we're talking about
Yeah.
Trump.
Yeah, we were having a little bit of fun.
It was all Tina's fault. She brought up the stabbing.
Oh,
Yeah.
she did. It was Tina.
It was.
But I
yes,
was going to
it
bring
was-
it up at some point anyway. We were not in a mode where, that was going to be a topic anytime soon. But since
Tina
Chat
took
brought
her
it up,
bedtime medicine and started shooting off at the mouth, and now we're here. That's what happened.
and we don't even know if Chad put it in the cart and purchased yet.
Oh, I'm in the card on my other. Yeah, it's in there. I have the PC with the RAM upgrade ready to go. I haven't
Look at-
finished.
Just have a look at the Omen 34-inch curved monitor.
But I got free one coming from Slender.
Yeah,
Okay,
but that's only one monitor.
Brahma, you keep talking to him about that. You keep making him look at monitors and stuff. I'll be back.
All right. Let's see. All right. All right. So you said it's called the Omen.
Just search in Best Buy. Just search Omen curved, something like that. Should be a 34-inch curved monitor that is about $349, down from $469 or something like that for Black Friday. Pretty good
Oh,
deal
yeah,
for you
those-
if you're looking at spending that kind of money. I don't
Let's
know what your
see.
budget is, and I'm not trying to spend your money. It's just, if you're going to get stuff on Black Friday, you might as well get the package done, because it's just going to cost more tomorrow.
Yeah. This looks like what it is, right? The 34 LED curved 165 hertz gaming monitor.
Yep.
Yeah, it looks down to 329 from 479.
Yeah. So not a bad deal.
And
Not a bad monitor.
Is it? I'm guessing it's clearly 4K full. No, it's slightly below,
It's
but it's
QHD.
so,
If you go up to the 4K, you're going to be you may be up at the $1,000 range.
Well, you just heard me saying I'm willing to take the free one from
Right.
Slender. So yeah, let's see. And Tina says she only just took her Ambien seconds ago, so that means she set off the landmine in our show completely with what is it,
Stone cold sober.
stone cold sober. uh, but this is the one. So this is the one you have, right?
No, I've got an LG, but this is the best deal that they've got going right now on Best Buy. As far as the curved monitors that I was looking at for you.
Do you feel like the curve definitely is like helpful for the gaming? Like,
It's not helpful for the gaming necessarily, but it's a great display for, I mean, the 34-inch curved is big enough that it's basically like having two full desktops available to you if you split it half and half. And because of its size and the curving, most of the games will play in the full widescreen version on it, and it looks much better than playing it on a regular monitor. I will never go back to the regular monitors. The curved are that much better.
Well, that's high praise. Let's see. While you gamers are getting computers for Black Friday, I bought new speakers for the car, replacing the old OEMs. I'm spending much less, but it's not nearly as easy as plugging in a few cords. Yeah, upgrading anything in your car which involves like popping panels and having to
Breaking
redo
clips
stuff.
accidentally.
Oh, I know that people who are qualified and trained are capable of like popping those tabs so those things come out. But the most I'm comfortable doing, and this is actually more than I know a lot of some people are, is I will change my own light bulbs because that's not that big a deal. I've always find it funny that people have issues changing wiper blades and light bulbs, like for their
Well,
headlights.
some of those headlamps are almost impossible to. I mean, it depends on if you have to do a new headlamp assembly or if it's just changing out the bulb.
Yeah,
But some of them, you have to remove part of the wheel well to get in.
Yeah.
Because you can't get to it through the hood.
Okay, so I will clarify then. Yes, I've only ever had to do it on my models of vehicles that involved going through headlamps. If you want Grant Gregory, because he's saying light bulbs, who headlamps. If vehicle headlamp. They are the ones I've had have always been accessible through the hood, or for our English speaking friends, bonnet.
And it's when you have to go in through the wheel well, it's horrible. It's a ton more work for something that is very simple. Takes a lot more time and quite a bit more know-how, even though it's just still essentially just removing the wheel liner and everything. But it's such a pain in the butt.
Yeah, it is frustrating because now here's one that I get annoyed with. So I've got a Ford Escape, and the model year I have is where they actually moved the friggin' transmission fluid entry point to where you'd actually have to jack it up and have it on like lifts to be able to access it. I was like, mother effer, because the transmission is not the best because it's that EcoBoost, and Ford was caring more about hitting cafe standards than building an effective engine.
Right.
So I definitely would want to put some basically shutter stop in to try to help lubricate. And the SUV has like over 130,000 miles. So I really can't complain that the transmission's like a lemon. It's
right.
Not,
and it's
but
put in its miles. Yeah.
But I can extend. It's like the same thing as using synthetic oil after you get to high mileage. It just helps make things run longer without major repairs.
Sure.
And so yeah, but I can't put the shutter fix in because you can't. Usually, you're supposed to just put it through your transmission fluid like intake, which is usually on the top part of the engine, not the drain out and completely flush your stuff. But they changed it because that's also how they get you. Because what the car manufacturers know is that dealerships now more than ever make their money from the service side.
Yep.
They get the initial profit from selling the vehicle, but the service side is where they can get the longevity of dollars out of their customers
Well, and all the warranty work
and all the warranty
with
work.
the up sales.
All right,
Exactly.
I ran back because I wanted to get in on this conversation. First off, this comment, I really like this comment. This is kind of what kicked it all off. I've done that. I've done the whole like I wired my whole car for sound when I was a young lad. I did the whole like pull up the carpet, run the cable from the battery all the way back to the trunk so I could have the sweet 10-inch subs back there, and replacing it was a full Pioneer. I did Pioneer sound system. I had the Pioneer head unit. I put new 6x9s in the back there. I put 10-inch subs in the trunk. I had the whole setup. But now on stupid things that I was working on a car trying to do, changing my oil in that same Nissan Versa I was talking about once upon a time. I had always changed my own oil. It's a very easy thing to do, right? You buy the filter, you fucking pull the old filter out, you put the new filter, you let all the oil drain, you put the new filter in, you add some oil. Good to go, right?
Yeah.
Weirdly, the Versa, I went to do that. I pulled the old filter out, but it hit the tailpipe that runs from the engine all the way back to the muffler, and I couldn't get it to come out, and I was like, what the F? So I'm trying to figure out. I end up removing the tailpipe, the muffler, all this crap is laying on the ground under my car, and I get it out and I put the new one in, and then I realize, oh hey, there's this big hole over in the right front wheel well.
Oh,
You're supposed to pull the oil filter out and then throw it off to the side and push it out the hole in the wheel well. It can't just come straight down. And I'm just like, why did you engineer your vehicle? Oh, right. It's so that I fuck it all up and have to pay someone else at the dealership to change my oil filter.
Right. I've just gotten to the point that my time's worth more than me changing my oil, so I just just get it done.
Yeah, but it's one of those things when on those rare occasions when I did it, I felt like really manly. Like I'm a man.
Well, it's something you need to know how to do, kind of like changing a tire. But
yeah.
If you do have the skill and can do it, I mean, sure. But for me, I'd rather not spend my time doing it. I'll pay somebody for the service of that. Kind of like paying for delivery when you could very easily go pick up. Sometimes I'm just there for the convenience.
Yeah,
I don't
so that's like if you get conventional oil and not synthetic, you can get an oil change still in my area at least for around $30.
$30-$40, yeah.
Aside
synthetic, it's about 80.
Yeah, full synthetic, and then if you do the blend, it's in between. And it's, to me, and don't take this the wrong way, to the people who do it themselves, that's fantastic. $30 for someone else to do it for me is well worth what my time would cost.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'm on
I
Brahma's
have the money available to do it. So yeah, if I didn't have the money available, you're right. I'd be doing everything I could to be doing it by myself and taking care of it myself. But
and not to mention with when you go to a professional service center for this kind of thing, they generally have full lifts where they're gonna put your car up, and so they're not doing where you're trying to jack it up and do like there's a lot of at home things where if you're not investing the money in the tools,
yeah,
you can still do it, but it's not going to be as efficient, and you've got the possibility of breaking something way worse. Like, yeah, so
Yeah.
I and this is that goes to the story Slender was saying. The new car, and especially with the new car models, where they've seemingly started moving things around for the purposes of unibody construction and this X, Y, or Z, and also to make sure that you have to go to a service center for it. They are making a point of making it so even if you do it yourself, you're probably spending a couple hours doing it.
Well, that's been kind of the case ever since they put computers in cars, right? I mean,
Yeah,
half
well,
the problems with cars now are the computers, not the mechanical components.
and
So
that drives
you
me up the
can't
wall
work on
too.
your own car because you can't work on the computer components.
My check engine light came on. I don't know why. The car seems to be running fine. Well, we could do a read. That'll cost $100.
Right. To
Okay,
figure out what the
well,
code
Well,
is to
that's
find out that you didn't
cool thing
tighten
because
the
I will tell
well,
you,
what
gas
do you
cap
what do you
for
enough.
think
Black
it is?
Friday
What do
they
you think
have
it
those
is?
the digital readers.
It's probably just a sensor, right?
Uh,
It's probably just a sensor. We'll just reset the computer and it'll be fine. But that's going to cost me $100. Well, yeah.
Right.
Well, is the sensor going to come back on in 2 weeks? It might.
Who
And then
knows?
what? Well, then we'll do another read, and that'll cost you another $100.
yeah,
No.
that's
Yep.
why I like the places that will give you the reading for free. I mean, there's a lot of
Right.
there's
Just go to AutoZone or, O'Reilly Auto Parts. They'll usually give you the code for free.
yep.
Now, side note, I did highlight this comment because I wanted
Here you go.
you to
Does
answer
that sound
this.
familiar?
But
Slender.
Lil Chad, I
Did you
want you to
see?
answer this. What's your recommendation?
Oh yeah, my recommendation is to
Rob is
buy the one.
asking for a recommendation from the guy who is running on a low performance laptop right now.
Okay, so let me clarify. My recommendation is to buy the same thing Brahma has, which is on sale currently on Best Buy. I'm going back to it to share because it is
It's
definitely.
not a top end computer, but it's a good solid gaming computer for a good price.
Yeah, it's decent middle of the road. It'll get the job done without problems.
Yep.
And probably will continue to do so for the next 3 to 5 years.
Exactly.
I mean, I
that's
think I would. I
longer
think I'd
than
even.
that's longer than our iPhones or our cell phones in general tend to last. I haven't kept a phone for 5 years and forever. So, and if you can get a computer for about the same price as your phone, and it's going to last you 5 years, in my mind, that's a pretty good deal.
So I'm bringing it back up, but Rob, this is the model that we settled on, which is the Lenovo Legion Tower 5i gaming desktop, on sale currently at Best Buy for $799 for Black Friday. Which, by the way, the Black Friday sales at Best Buy run through Saturday, so you can still buy stuff tomorrow as long as it doesn't sell out. We had Slender take the challenge of trying to build by buying individual components.
You can't do it anymore.
A
It just doesn't
PC that would be equal to this one at a cheaper price, and he couldn't do it. Because
And
bear
that's
in
kind
mind
of where we got here from last
Yeah.
week's after the show talk. We were, talking about building versus buying a pre-built. And I used to build all of mine, but the graphics card alone, like I was saying in the chat earlier, it's a $700 or $800 graphics card, and
Yeah,
you're getting
cheapest
the
I could
computer
find.
for $800. So
Cheapest I could find was about a $300 to $400 graphics card, and it's
not the
about
3060.
It's the 3060, but it's like the lowest spec version. So not even as
Right.
good as this one.
Right. So
Yeah,
I mean
'cause I do like that this one has
cost right there.
I do
It
like
is.
that this the 3060 that comes with this one actually has 12 gigs of memory built in, which seems a little high. It's a little stouter. So
Yeah, and you got a good size SSD solid state drive, 512 gigs.
yeah, I mean, I've got NAS drives that I could try to because when I upgraded my Plex server to 20 terabyte drives about 3 months ago, I took out the 12 terabyte drives that were in there.
Dude, if you're playing indie RPGs, I mean, you can you can
You'll be able to play anything on this.
like
Yeah.
you could probably get like one of the ones that are more designed for students, and it'll run them. I mean, indie RPGs are not resource hungry.
Now, I will say, like even on my stream earlier, there was a bit of frame drop rate when I was streaming from the same computer that I was playing the game on. But since you have another computer, Chad, the one you're currently using, you can always do a dual thing where you play the game on this computer and have your current computer be the streaming computer. And that will typically take care of that issue. You just need a capture card, which, I mean, that's only if you were going to be streaming on your channel playing the game.
I feel like my first step that I'm really excited about is being able to play the games with you guys.
I think what I'm going to do is for Christmas, I'm going to get you guys each party animals, because Mad's already got it, and maybe get Shredda party animals too, because it's only like a $20 game. Send you guys each a copy of that game, and then we can do some streams on all of our channels if we want to, so everybody has everybody's perspective.
Can I just tell you how
game.
The irony of the fact that I'm going to finally invest in this kind of PC so I can do gaming with you guys.
And we're going to play Party Animals.
The Party Animals is the game we're going to end up streaming all the time doing.
Party Animals has decent graphics.
And it's a fun game for everybody watching. Yeah. Plus, it's fun for us. And it's
your low-end laptop might struggle with Party Animals.
Yeah.
Really? Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. Maybe I have a different expectation.
It looks.
It's because I'd be like, your game is basic. Oh, all right. So here's a fun thing. Do you guys? I think we talked about the fact that they're making a Mean Girls remake that looks terrible.
Yeah, with a whole bunch of girls who would not be the popular clique because they're really not good looking.
No. But did you see that? The whole point? Did you see that Walmart rolled out the commercials for their Black Friday commercials this year, where we're using the original actors from Mean Girls?
I haven't watched a commercial in probably 4 years.
If I'm paying for a service, it's a commercial-free service, and that's the only reason I'm still paying for it.
But they used who? Rachel McAdams and
so they got it's
Lacey Chabert or whatever her name is.
Lacey Charbet, Amanda Seyfried, and Lindsay Lohan came back. Rachel McAdams was apparently too good for it.
Well, yeah, she is. Rachel McAdams is hot. Lacey's hot too, but not a star.
No, Lacey is the queen of Hallmark right now. She's the reigning queen of Hallmark.
Yep.
And that's what she has going for her. So let me.
Yes, I've noticed on your Plex server we've gotten a few more Hallmarks with Lacey in it.
Well, of course, yeah. That's so. I'm gonna switch because I think
from your Plex server yesterday, I was playing Oppenheimer while I was doing all the cooking for Thanksgiving, and then everybody started arriving right at about the time where they test the bomb, and I was out of the room when they tested the bomb, and I missed the whole scene. It was son of a.
So here, check this out. This is the ad.
After high school, Gretchen formed her own clique, the Wieners household.
Morning. Oh, sweetie. It's Wednesday.
And this is why you need a new computer.
I'm online shopping all day.
Yep.
Walmart's Black Friday deals just dropped. I am so getting you white gold hoop earrings for Hanukkah. White gold? It's giving 2004. Irregardless, I don't think your grandfather, the inventor of toaster strudel, would be too pleased to hear you using that tone with me. Throwback Wednesday. I love this song. What a bop. Please.
So right there, Lacey Charbet is obviously still very attractive.
Yep.
She's right in character. I believe already she's the Mean Girl character she was. She jumped right back. This is way better.
Now she's Mean Mom.
And this is a commercial for friggin' Walmart than this piece of crap movie that they're putting out.
Yeah, it looks like absolute trash.
What's wrong with Bob? Bob's a great word.
Do you ever wonder if the girl in the mirror can see you back?
What? Karen, we've talked about this. Oh, babe, that's not your regular chair.
Oh. And Amanda Seyfried is still stupid.
Couldn't keep Gretchen Wieners from cracking.
It's just, I'm always on your left. Mom, just chill. If you can't take your headphones out, you can't sit with us.
Hey, what's happening?
But we could not get away with not having the biracial family in the commercial because
Well, actually, remember though that makes sense from the plot of Mean Girls because remember at the end of the movie she found her new clique.
no, I
All right.
honestly saw the movie a decade ago or so and
All right.
never revisited it.
So if you don't remember at the end of Mean Girls, her character Gretchen Wieners had joined the Asian girl clique.
Oh yeah, okay.
And was actually speaking full on like she had joined and that was her new group. So
Good. At least that makes sense then.
so this is like they're not going out of character at all for any of the people. Like they kept Amanda Seyfried's character stupid. Like I mean, they have her. She's graduated to being a weather girl, which also kept in with what she was doing then. And it's just her being a stupid weather girl. It's like this is fine.
Was Amanda Seyfried, was she the start of Hollywood trying to make girls whose eyes are running away from their nose a thing? Like
No,
Anya Taylor-Joy and all the ones that we've got now.
I don't think so
chick from
because
Little Mermaid.
remember Amanda Seyfried had really big boobs. So at the time,
That's
so I
what she
think
had going for her. But
yeah, I think that's what her that's why and she never got the full blown like pushed on you treatment.
right,
She was, I mean, she got Big Love and she was a side character in that for a few years. She her shot at trying to be an it girl was Lovelace, where she played Linda Lovelace, who is famous for not being the person
young.
who how should I put this? For being the person who didn't get Nixon thrown out of the White House, but sounded like it. You know? it's but anyway, but that movie never it did, you know, that was her Oscar bait and it just didn't take.
Right.
And then she kind of disappeared. She so I'm trying to think if she's done anything.
One of the first I remember with having the eyes way too wide though.
Britney Spears.
Or at least in my opinion, way
Britney
too wide.
Spears' eyes were also off.
Yeah,
but she had the
not
I think
noticeable, but yeah.
But Britney Spears, I think, were hers too close. I mean, basically, I always thought Britney Spears looked like she might have been special.
Well, she kind of looked like a raccoon.
Yeah. And, so there was an issue where I always thought Mandy Moore was probably the most attractive of those like teen girl, and it was age appropriate for me to like them at the time, so it was fine.
Yeah, that's our time. I mean, Hilary Duff was not too bad either, but but Mandy Moore, she was also seemed like the most not messed up in the head. Right.
So, which by the way bears out because she's managed to have a long lasting career and not have a mental breakdown in any public fashion. So whereas I would count it, by the way, I do count the fact that Christina Aguilera had her dirty phase where she was clearly
get away from Disney Kids Incorporated phase.
Yeah. So I count that as her public.
She also had her like 250-pound phase.
Oh,
which
God,
she still looked, even when she was big, she still looked okay because she wore clothes that were, appropriate at her larger size. But Aguilera Genie in a Bottle, hot as hell.
All I'm saying is Christina Aguilera better switch me chairs so I can sit next to Carson Daly and Fred Durst.
No. Wait, what was that from?
And hear him argue over who she did something to first. It's
right.
Eminem.
That's right. Now I remember. Oh my God. It's so long that I don't even remember when Eminem was picking fights with pop princesses.
Yeah, because the ones we remember now are Kanye West picking fights with people.
Now he's just desperately trying to find a way to stay relevant.
Which one?
Who? Marshall Mathers.
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna rap about Trump. 4 years after he
Oh my god!
was
Dude,
So-
did you hear it?
you're
It was
so
it was
edgy.
the worst.
So edgy.
It was the worst rap I had ever heard in my life. I was like, dude, you don't get me wrong. There was a time when you were the best, but what you just created is quite possibly the worst, like ever,
not my
of
style of
any
music.
rapper. Regardless, whether like I'm not big on rap
Just
either,
never
but
listened to it.
there are certain rap songs that I have thoroughly enjoyed, and that was worse than anything I'd ever heard in my life. It just like the idea behind rapping is that you are supposed to use a lot of kind of clever rhymes, clever tempo, and everything else, and like there was just nothing clever about that. You're rapping about throwing hot coffee on Donald Trump? Okay, really? That's okay. Go
But was
home,
the
dude.
coffee
Take a
actually
nap.
tea?
don't know.
Avs just scored. We're back up 3-2.
Nice. And for those of you who know that means hockey, you can catch Brahma's Permanent Board Game channel show on his channel on Saturday nights. Did you move the start time?
Yeah, we're doing it at about 9:15 tomorrow. We're going basically as soon as Snow Dub's done with the Cotton Council.
Nice. And is that
Or we're
Eastern
trying
or
to give
Central?
him room because Snow Dub moved his show up earlier, so that let us move up earlier. So the East Coasters aren't staying up until 2:00 to watch, our whole show.
And so it starts at 9. Is that 9:15 Central? So 10:15.
9:15 Mountain.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
10:15 Central, 11:15 Eastern.
Nice. There you go.
Nope.
So
Nobody's getting murdered this week, Clay. Although there's been a ton of crazy stuff happening in the NHL. We'll have plenty to talk about tomorrow.
I know that.
Oh yeah, some dude got his neck slit or something, right?
Yeah, about 3 weeks ago.
That was
died on.
Yeah.
Yeah, he died.
It's horrible, and he was like a star player too, right?
No, it was in the British League. He had played for the Pittsburgh Penguins before.
Okay. And but the guy who did it has been arrested, right?
Yeah, he did end up getting arrested, which, I mean, there will be whatever investigation there is and whatever hearing there is, but I'm still not convinced it was intentional. I know that lots of people are, and it's pretty contentious, but I don't think it was intentional. I think when the guy skated in front of him and gave him the slight bump, he was on 1 foot, and that knocked him off balance. But
I think he intentionally tried to impede the other player. I don't think he, in his wildest dreams, thought what happened was going to happen.
But
yeah, at that speed, I don't know how in a split second you decide, okay, this is where I'm going to get somebody.
In the spirit of Happy Gilmore, he might now hold 2 league records. One of which is he's the only guy who ever didn't take off his skate and tried to stab somebody.
Right.
Oh, Happy Gilmore. That was a good one. So I think just so we can hit the other, Slender, have you actually been tracking, because I know that you have absolutely no care in the world for this, like Wish and how terrible Disney's doing this week?
No,
I'm just gonna, because I put it in the topics.
I heard it's worse than any of the animated movies to come before it, and it is just all agenda all the time.
So this is Songbird and Snakes, the Hunger Games movie that they put out, the prequel, is gonna beat it. Wish's 5-day, which also includes an extra whole day.
Busiest headline I have ever seen. What the?
Yeah, that is a ton of words and numbers.
What is Coom by Sunday? Oh my.
Cumulative. Cum.
Okay.
Oh.
I'm glad you abbreviated that one word.
To tell us how much riz it has.
Yeah.
You got 3 fucking lines of headline, and you thought you'd help by abbreviating cumulative to cum.
Yeah, so they're really just trying to cover because so this 5-day window, which is Wednesday through Sunday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, also includes Disney's Wish started showing Tuesday at 3 p.m. And they also did shows on Saturday the weekend before, early previews, like sneak previews.
Yeah.
They basically did afternoon show times the entire Saturday. So realistically, they've got two extra days. So this 5-day total is really 7 days worth of movie show times.
Yeah, they're cheating.
And they still only made this 35 to 38 million, which means 35 million. So over 7 days, they still, and this is, by the way, Slender and I kind of talked about this. Thanksgiving is the busiest week of movie going the entire year.
And we've got nothing to watch.
Yeah, you had to correct me on that because I was like, nobody goes and watches movies on Thanksgiving, and then like half the chat, everybody else was like, everybody goes and watches movies on Thanksgiving, and I was like,
A lot of families, it's a tradition. You either have lunch and then go out all together to see a movie, or you go see the movie and then come back and have dinner, that kind of thing.
I don't know. That's not a thing I ever did, but I stand corrected and will not argue that again because, oh boy, everybody came after me hard last week. I don't think I was there. I gotta talk to a therapist about it or something. My feelings and shit. I know they're down there somewhere.
His fifis got hurt.
I can hear them deep down.
They have a tendency to do that.
It's
the
just
subcockles.
But this is going to be the third straight Disney movie. Because Lucasfilm is Disney, so Indiana Jones,
then the Marvels,
and now this one that is going to lose at least $200 to $300 million for them.
So that's a mainline Disney, an Indiana Jones, Lucasfilm, and then a Marvel. That's all three of their major
studios,
portions of their company. Yeah.
It's just, and what's
and I haven't heard good things on Napoleon either.
See, I don't know, because I've heard bad things, but I also heard Vanessa Kirby's naked in it, and she's hot.
And that is the only thing that would make me go see it. Not that she's naked, but that Vanessa Kirby is hot as hell. I have not been unimpressed with any movie she's,
she has
every movie she's been in, she's been pretty good.
And her eyes are appropriately width apart, so that's a plus.
She's one of those that has kind of like one of the cat-like faces, but she's pretty overall hot.
She is. I think she's
good in Mission Impossible. She was good. She was great in Hobbs and Shaw.
Hobbs and Shaw had so much potential, and if Dwayne Johnson hadn't hijacked it to friggin',
I liked it better than the mainline Fast and Furious. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the mainline Fast and Furious. I thought Hobbs and Shaw was a pretty fun movie altogether.
I could have done without the going to the island and not using guns. Like, that whole thing was silly.
Yeah, kind of dumb.
Yep.
But overall, it was less goofy crap than you get in the Fast and the Furious stuff, where we're driving a freaking car in space, or taking out a helicopter with your car, that kind of stuff. But she was hot in it.
She was.
So, maybe I'll see Napoleon because of her. It's not going to be because of Joaquin Phoenix. He's been in some good movies. I just have never really liked the guy. I think my first impression of him as a heel in Gladiator just stuck because he was such an ass. It's one of those things, kind of like, wrestling fans. If your first impression of a wrestler is when they're a heel, they're always a heel to you. And you just can't help but hate them.
So
Joaquin Phoenix is not a bad actor, but there's just something that I don't like about him.
I think there's also something for me. Joaquin Phoenix, the first time I'd seen him was actually in Space Camp when he was a kid.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you remember that movie, Brahma,
No.
where Kelly Preston, when she was like a teenager, Joaquin Phoenix, the group of kids, Sigourney Weaver, they're going to a NASA space camp, and they end up, getting to pretend inside the space shuttle before it's going for a real launch, because they win a competition.
Yeah, like
And
Beavis and Butthead.
yeah,
And
and
the
there's a
latest movie.
and there's a NASA robot that apparently is so sentient and AI capable in like the late 1980s that it had made friends with Joaquin Phoenix, that it knew Joaquin Phoenix's dream was to actually go into space. So it actually launched the ship, and they end up in space and have to, without the right supplies and gear and everything, and they have to figure out how to get home safely. It's a decent, for a kids movie.
Yeah.
It's decently entertaining, but that's what I always think of with Joaquin Phoenix, is he was like the schlubby like kid, because he got the job because him and River Phoenix, they were a
Because of
Hollywood
River.
family.
Yeah.
So it just was hilarious to me, and so that's what when he is in
So he was kind
Gladiator.
of like the fat kid in Stand By Me that ended up, what is it, Coleman? That ended up, being like leading man later in life, but he was the
Yeah.
fat kid in that.
Jerry O'Connell. Yep.
O'Connell. Okay. Not
Star
Coleman.
star of Sliders.
Right letters, wrong order. That kind.
Yep. It is hilarious. So that's where but you're right though, because no matter what I see Joaquin Phoenix in now, even though I take him seriously as an actor, I always think of that, because that was the first thing I'd seen him in.
Yeah. Well, I think it's funny that the director is now trying to go back and say that Joaquin Phoenix's character was the sympathetic one in Gladiator. He really did nothing wrong.
Ridley Scott said that?
Yeah, I think Bounding into Comics has an article about it, but yeah, he was literally saying, no, it was just his circumstances made him that way. He was actually a good guy. And
he murdered his father,
his dad, and
he
then
kidnapped his nephew and used him as a hostage to manipulate his sister into sleeping with him.
Yeah. I mean, at what point is he the sympathetic character in that movie? Or the story in general? I mean, not a thing. I mean, that's how far Hollywood has fallen, that, we're trying to make the worst person be the sympathetic character with our, lenses looking backwards on a movie. Because there's no way anybody would have thought, yeah, that's the sympathetic character back when it came out. But now it kind of fits the narrative that, oh yeah, that would be the guy that you would say is sympathetic at this point.
So Clay says that he's this way with Leonardo. I'm wondering if he means he saw him in Growing Pains, so he always thinks of him from when he was in Growing Pains
as the added kid.
I always thought it was weird because, like, Leonardo, we're talking about DiCaprio, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's who he's talking about, I'm sure.
Like, oh yeah, Sliders, beware the Cro-Mags.
He looked like a fucking teenager, and they were trying to make a sex symbol out of him, and I was like, why do I don't want to see this kid like do the things.
At which point? In Growing Pains?
No, in like
Gilbert Grape and all that stuff.
Are you thinking
Romeo and Juliet?
Romeo and Juliet is where
Titanic, all those first movies where he was like really breaking out, and it was like he looks like he's like fucking like 17, 16 years old. Like,
but Slender, the girls, but the girls that were loving him were 14 through 16. So it's he's
and
like,
now he only dates.
Wait. Bad Take Bojan, you said that you had already taken your Ambien only seconds prior to a comment you made earlier. Don't over medicate.
Saying that the Ambien's kicking in now.
Oh, okay.
Now
I just want to make sure she doesn't like have a Heath Ledger situation where
now she's at the fun time.
Now that the Ambien's kicked in, Bad Take Bojan is completely capable of escaping 4 overweight Chicago female police officers after they try to arrest her. So just be watch out for that. That's a callback, people. To
as long as she doesn't stop and think, "Wow, her face looks delicious."
Oh, I totally forgot about the Basketball Diaries, and I'm just recently added, got that for my place. Yeah, because that was Mark Wahlberg and DiCaprio before The Depart. It was like a Departed prequel. It's- oh, did you? That was what Basketball Diaries for me was most famous for. It was one of the movies that they tried to blame Columbine on. And Brahma, do you remember that one? That Basketball Diaries was like one of the inspiration movies for Columbine.
I don't remember that. All I remember is the trench coat stuff, because that was just 35, 40 miles from me. I think I was at a track meet and they announced it over the live speaker when it happened. But no, I don't remember Basketball Diaries. I don't think I watched Basketball Diaries, so that may be why I don't remember it being brought up about it.
Let's see. All right, guys, just to let you know, I just placed the order. Woohoo.
And just so everybody in chat knows, we are at that time of night where
At any
any
given
second
moment,
Thunder can cut everything.